Today is week 3 of our self-development training workshop, youth development series. And today we'll be looking at the topic navigating relationships and building networks for your professional growth. We have with us today two of our colleagues from Abuja, Diran Adegoke, the youth engagement specialist, and we have Grace Lamon, the American Center Director. They will be taking the two sessions for today. Can we give the two of them a round of applause, please?
Thank you very much.
Over to you, Grace.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you once again for joining this program. I want our discussion today to be very interactive. I know a lot of young people are listening and you like to hear a lot about building relationship and all that. I'm not here to tell you love stories or tell you how to toast a guy or toast a babe, but I want us just to discuss on a basic level on some of the hints that can help us build a very strong relationship, either with the opposite sex or in terms of dealing with people generally, or maybe your business partners, it could be your classmates, it could be other social groups that you associate with as well. And I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions about how some of you have navigated some of these relationship issues as well, because we're all going to learn from each other. It's not a one size fits all kind of um, discussion when it comes to building relationship or choosing the right partner. So it's not a one size fits all. What may work for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. And also, we're very aware of our cultural differences, religious differences. So all these things actually come to play in terms of choosing partner for a great relationship. But we're not going to go deeply into cultural, religious aspect as much as they play key role as well. I don't want to tell you, oh, this is how to do it, that's how to do it. Sometimes what you can do is to be able to fuse some of your belief system into choosing the right partner, which is okay. If it works for you, that's the most important aspect of it. And I hope that at the end of the day, some of you be able to use this tip and we hear that you met this person at the American space where you are and you're going to tie the knot. Please, when that happens, let us know so that we'll celebrate and say, oh, it's because of the youth series that you have been able to meet your better half. So that's just a joke. I'm not saying look out for somebody there at the space. But if it happens, it's all good, isn't it? So I'm looking at the thing, choosing the right partner for a great relationship and building healthy relationships. And I'm also at the end of my talk, we're going to look at keys to selecting and nurturing fulfilling personal relationships and how to resolve conflict, trust building, fostering mutual respect. I know quite a lot of you are expert when it comes to choosing partner or relationships. You're young people, I may be old school, maybe what happened during my time may not be what is in vogue or what is trending now. But I'll give it my best, and that's why I want you to also share your own ideas of some of these tips on how to build great relationship. So we jump in. Apologies that my slides are not up yet, but I'll be using the paper and hopefully we'll walk through together. So if the slides come up, then we'll look at them as well. So how to choose the right partner. Maybe I should hear from some of you. How do you think you should choose the right partner? Anyone, just raise your hands if you want to respond. Or what has been helpful to you for those of you who have partners, maybe great business partners, or just great friends. It doesn't have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be that you're married to the particular person. If you want to share that, You're welcome to share, please. Feel free, raise your hands, and my colleague, Ms. Josephine, will call you. So anybody who wants to share, maybe you've had this very great friend and you think there's something you did that helped you to build that friendship. Please share. Anyone? Yes, I see some of you smiling. Well, we'll still jump in. I know that we have lot of young people, and there are quite a number of people. Statistics have shown that there are a lot of people who are in the mood for dating or looking for love. Let me put it that way. But choosing the right partner, whether it's a business partner, whether it's an emotional partner, can be very challenging. So we understand that. And that's why I said at the beginning that it's not a one size fits all. So it can be challenging in some ways, but there are things that you really want to get in that particular partner. So we're looking at standards, we're looking at qualities you like to have, especially when it comes to, say, a romantic partner. Even in business partnership, there are some qualities that you want. You don't want a business partner who maybe spends a lot, and if you're building a business together, the person may decide to use the profit to buy things that will not grow your business, or just things that are not really important. So you also want to look at qualities when you're choosing a partner. But before you also go, it's just reasonable that what you should do is look at yourself, what we call self-discovery in psychology. So what it means is you need to know who you are. Who am I? Say, okay, maybe this is the kind of person I am. And who do I think will be the best partner for me? So the first thing that every one of us should do is to look at ourselves. What can I take? What kind of partner can I take? What kind of relationship do I think I can build? And that's what we call self-discovery. So one of the things, we have various kind of attachment. We call them attachment, actually. What kind of attachment are you? So you have to discover first yourself. So that will help you know the kind of partner that you actually want. So there are quite a lot of attachment, about 4 that we could look at, but I'm just going to look at 2 just for time. And then maybe if we have questions, I can explore the rest. But basically, I cut down the 4 into 2, what I call secure and insecure kind of attachment. So what this does is that even though theoretically speaking, the kind of attachment we have was originally for a relationship between parents and children, but further research shows that a lot of adults may also have their own attachment styles. That's why we're looking at it, particularly when it comes to romantic relationship. So while individual styles can vary, people have different kind of attachment styles. We're just going to look at 2 basic ones. And one of it is the anxious, preoccupied attachment. That is what I would say insecure, but let's call it anxious, preoccupied kind of attachment. So these are people who constantly seek attention and approval of their partners. I don't know if you've watched a small child, maybe you go to a neighbor's house and the neighbor gives the child food. What does the child do? The child will first look at the parents, to have this. You know how we do our eyes? The parents will either communicate with signs to say, make sure you don't eat. I'm sure most of us have, while growing up, our parents will tell you, if you go to neighbor's house and they give you something, don't eat it. And so at that point, maybe the child wants this sweet or food that the neighbor is giving them, but the child will want to seek for the parents' approval before he or she takes that. So even as adults, we also have that kind of attachment. We want validation. If I choose this partner, will the partner choose me? And sometimes this validation stems from low self-esteem or a poor self-image of yourself. So as individual, if you have low self-esteem or a poor image about yourself, you will want to see what people think about you. You want to say, oh, let me look at this, my friend. What does he or she thinks about me? So you want their constant approval because you believe even when you're doing the wrong thing and the person nods, you think that it means the person eulogizes you, means the person is praising you, or maybe you're doing the right thing. Most times, it doesn't start that way. It's fine. Low self-esteem comes from a lot of instances. Maybe you're growing up, or fear of something. Even as spouses, there are people who will wait for their husbands or their wives to say, okay, what you're doing is really good. And they feel that then they have succeeded. So that's what we call the anxious preoccupied attachment. So we have those kind of people. Remember, we're talking about self-discovery now. So as I'm talking, I want you to imagine, what kind of attachment do I have? How do I discover myself? Am I this kind of person that I don't really trust myself? I want others to nod first and say, yes, I'm this kind of person before. I want other people's validation. Are you that kind of person? So as I talk, you begin to examine yourself and see if that's what happens. And most times, young people grow up as kids. They fear a lot of things. Maybe you have very strict parents that always scream at you and you're always scared, to go forward and do things independently. So, or sometimes you have been rejected in one way or the other, either as growing up, maybe the kids in your school will bully you sometimes, or maybe even your parents, will not take kindly to some of the things that you do, and they're always screaming at you. So it's okay if that's the kind of person you are. It's still okay, because we can't all be perfect, since no human being is perfect. So we're working towards that. So in real life, this anxious preoccupied attachment, if you have this kind of attachment, when it comes to romantic dating or romantic relationship, it's really a very difficult task. It's a whole lot of emotional roller coaster for you, because you're wondering, oh, does he love me? Does she love me? What does she think about me? Do I have to look like this to be accepted by this particular person? Or even in terms of business partner, you're thinking, okay, this is my business partner. What does he or she thinks about me? Am I going to be a very good partner? Do they think that I have the maybe mental capacity, the IQ to be able to move this business forward? And most times you spend so much time thinking about what other people think about you rather than making a lot of progress. So you probably really value closeness because of some of the instances that has happened to you either while growing up, and so you crave for that connection. And sometimes you also end up feeling very anxious about a lot of things. When you want to meet somebody. In fact, I've known a lot of people who, oh, you need to meet this, my friends, and they never show up because they have that fear. What will people think about me? Or maybe sometimes you discover that your classmates or your classmates in school, I'm going to be using examples from maybe campuses, because most of you are very young people that are listening. So maybe sometimes they tell you, one of your classmates tells you that, oh, I'm going to see this, my classmate in another department. And you're wondering, maybe they tell you, oh, especially I'm going to be using Northern Nigeria. Say, oh, I'm going to see Dangote's daughter in the next department. And you're wondering, oh, Dangote's daughter. Already mentally, you're beginning to think, what is this person going to think about me? Am I wearing the right clothes? Am I going to speak well and be accepted by this particular person? So you really value what that particular person is going to say about you, feeling super anxious. And then sometimes when you have relationship and this thing doesn't walk away, it so much hurts you, what we call heartbreak, right? These days, how do they call it? Breakfast. Aha, thank you, Diran. So you're afraid if they are going to serve you breakfast, and you're wondering, will I be able to actually take some of these things? Those are the kind of attachment that some of us have. And so when you're dating, when you have that kind of attachment and you're dating, you're wondering where you stand with somebody. Like I said, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of dating and romantic relationship. That's why I'm just trying to be very basic. So you begin to wonder, in terms of dating, you wonder, where do I stand with this particular person? Or if, for instance, the person does not text you, you begin to wonder, oh, maybe she doesn't like the way I talk. Maybe he doesn't really like me, or maybe he's losing interest in me. And you discover that ordinarily you start getting agitated and angry with yourself simply because you feel that that person has rejected you or neglected you. And so if you have that kind of attachment, you need a lot of assurances. Say, oh, no, don't worry, I'm not like that. Oh, no, don't worry, that's not the way I think about you. So you constantly find your friends telling you about that a lot because you're wired naturally to fear disconnection. You don't want people to abandon you. You don't want people to leave you and all that. And then sometimes it gets you into a lot of worries because you feel like you don't belong in that particular circle. So that's one kind of attachment that as individual we may have. So I'm not going to go into the therapeutic aspect of it, but just briefly, just to mention that you have to, if you fall within that kind of category, you have to work on your self-worth. Everybody is human, and so believe in yourself. It doesn't matter your background, where you're coming from, but you need to work on yourself. You need to have a positive image about yourself as a young person. If you feel that that's the kind of self worth that you belong in. So you have to learn also to rely on other people to help you. Don't feel like you're really, even if you have a self-esteem, feel like, be open. That's the word. Be open, let people actually encourage you to do what you want to do or achieve what you need to achieve in life. So there are other kind of attachment, but I said I will only talk about two. The other one is the secure attachment. So we talked about the insecure, which we call anxious preoccupied attachment. Then we also have the secure attachment. So this is based on trust. You look at yourself, you trust people a lot. You're very sincere also when you're partnering with somebody. You want to be very open to the person. You lay all the cards on the table and say, oh, okay, we're planning to build a business together. We're looking for maybe 100,000 naira. All I have in my account is 30,000 naira. Let's put it on the table. If you have 70,000 naira, we can know how to balance it so that at the end of the day, when our businesses grow as partners, we will share it in such a way that it will not be 50-50. So you're being very sincere, you're being very open towards your partner. So secure style is the healthiest and most beneficial. So the secure attachment is the healthiest, is very beneficial to all the partners, or in terms of relationship, it's very secure for you to be able to exhibit that. And then the individuals who are disattached also have what we call positive vibe, positive attitude towards everybody that they get to meet. In addition, also, this kind of attachment does not typically struggle with self-esteem, and they don't really need excessive validation. I'm sure you must have observed some kids. Sometimes when you go maybe to a birthday party, you see some kids are really settled down and they don't want to dance, they don't want to do any other thing in the party. But there are others who are really very open. When they ask questions, they'll be the first to raise their hands and do a lot of things that the party is asking them to do. So we have people like that. These are the secure kind of attachment. And some of you, quite a number of you are like this, especially in your generation. So you typically are very open, you have a good sense of self-esteem, and then you maintain a sense of what it doesn't matter. This doesn't have to do with class, even if you're not from a wealthy home or you're not wealthy, you still find time to dress very well, to look very neat. Sometimes the kind of person we are, like if we feel very low, if we have very low self-esteem, sometimes we don't even want to dress and look nice because we feel people say, today this one is really looking, really nice, dapper and debonair. But it doesn't have to be that way. So for the secure attachment, you feel very okay and you're normal within people. So you have emotionally safe vibe, sorry. So if you have this kind of attachment, you're basically the person who is comfortable with closeness and okay with space. Relationships feel like safe place. You don't feel like you're being cheated on. You don't feel like you're being disadvantaged. But at this point, you feel like, okay, it's okay. You don't feel obsessed about somebody or what, you don't care how someone feels about you. If the relationship, if it's a romantic relationship and it doesn't work, you take it lightly. You don't feel heartbroken. You don't feel like you've been served breakfast. Just say, well, that is life. And then you move on to the next. It doesn't discourage you from going into another relationship. You just move on like, well, that's how life is, and then you move on. You're not playing games in any way. You communicate openly, and you expect the same from others as well because you're very open. And then you're totally fine with if someone, for instance, if you're not the one being served breakfast, if you're the one being served breakfast, you take it well. If you no longer want the relationship in terms of romantic relationship, you feel okay, that's fine. You don't have to keep hunting the person, keep following the person. Sometimes there are a lot of people who cannot take a no for an answer. Sometimes they don't eat in the house, they keep crying all through the day. I'm sure as I'm talking, some of you are remembering the kind of breakfast they have served you in the past. Or maybe currently some of you have also been served breakfast and you're thinking, oh, this happened to me. But for the secure attachment, you feel, well, it hurts. I know it hurts. Let's not deny the fact that it hurts. But anyway, you forge on positively to another one. So you handle conflict maturely for this kind of attachment. You're supportive, reliable, and you say, well, if that's what she wants, then you accept it that way. So when it comes to the therapeutic aspect, also, you don't need so much because all these things revolve around mental health. So your health, your mental status is fine. You don't need an extra fine tuning, or you don't need to navigate and keep seeing some therapies to help you walk through the broken relationship and all that. So these are some of the two kind of self-discovery that we have to discover. Once you know the kind of person you are, then it helps you to be able to choose the right person who will be your partner, either as a business or even a romantic partner. But first, you have to discover yourself. Okay, this is the kind of person I am. Then the next step is how to choose the right partner for yourself. So after determining your attachment type, you might begin to look for a partner. And then I'll give you some just few tips or strategies that you can use after rediscovering yourself. Please don't just jump. I know what we do is we're looking for the perfect partner. We don't even accept the fact that, oh, we also have our own faults. We also have some places in our own self that needs attachment. All you need is, oh, I want this perfect partner. She's brain and beauty, she's this person, but have you really thought about, is she the right person for me? Am I able to communicate well for her? All that. So that's what we're looking at next. We're looking at tips on how to choose the right partner after self-discovery. So one of it is you need to look for someone with similar traits and values like yourself. If you're the insecure attachment type, you have to look for somebody that falls within that. So you don't have somebody all up there and the other person is all the way down here. They said two opposites don't, what's the saying again? Okay, let's leave that anyway. We'll come to that. Yes, so look for somebody who you can actually work together. So in terms of levels, in terms of social status, now we're going into a little bit deeper. Let's give example. Maybe you come from a very poor background, and then because of the economic condition that we find ourselves in the country, you said, if it's not a Dangote or it's not an Otedola, I will not marry anybody, or I will not go out with anybody within my class. Let's come back home. How do you want to even do it to start with? So I'm from Northern Nigeria, and I know that most times we get into this kind of issues in Northern Nigeria, where I'll say, okay, this person, forgive me for those in the South, but I will interpret. In Hausa, they will say, oh, one or the vice versa. What this means is you're from a poor background, and for you to be able to help your family, you really have to go look for somebody from a very rich background. So sometimes these things don't actually match. So a lot of issues come up in that. But the ideal thing for you to do is to look for somebody within your social status, within your class status, somebody who you share similar values with, similar goals with. And the fact that you come from a very poor background doesn't mean that you remain poor. In terms of choosing a business partner, you could start small. That's the idea behind it. If all you can afford is 10 naira, and the other person as a business partner can afford 10 naira also, there's a way that you would choose the specific business meant for your class that can help you build that particular business with your partner. So that's very important. Then in terms of relationship, it shows that research has shown that long-term partners often share similar belief, personality traits, and habits. So this is not just saying it for saying sake. People have done that in the past, and research has shown that that works better in most cases. Look for somebody that is within your class status, is within, and you share the same goals for. Even if you're from a rich class, all you need to do is look for somebody within your class status, because you will be actually operating on the same level. So your level of understanding is going to be similar and all that. So that's very important. Also, your educational level is very important. Your IQ, sometimes your political, your religious belief also needs to align with each other. And some of the things you do socially also needs to go hand in hand. While I was putting this together, I talked about educational qualification, I talked about IQ, and I said maybe somebody in the audience will ask me, but what of Igbo people that sometimes they don't go to school and they go and marry a wife with a PhD? It's okay. I told you this is not a one size fits all. They may have their various challenges, but the other partner will be ready to come down to the level of the other partner in most cases. And for those people who are watching from outside, you always feel like, okay, the equation is not balanced. It's not balancing, but you always feel like somebody is benefiting more than the other. But if it works for them, and that what brings about other characteristics that we're not looking at, especially when it has to do with religion and all that. So sometimes they work hand in hand, but we're looking at some of the things that we need to be very careful in looking at as well. So, and some of you may also ask that this social class, maybe we're all in school and we have people from different social class. Where do we find them from? So if you need people within your own class, there's several ways to find them. And I'll leave some of those in terms of networking opportunities for my other colleague who will talk about that, but I'll just mention it lightly. You can meet them in a lot of organizations. Let's say you're a very religious person and you want a religious wife. I'm sure it's very easy to know where to find that kind of partner, right? You either find the person in the church or in the mosque. Then if you're a social bird, you like to club and you want a very social partner, you know where to meet the person. Maybe you go clubbing, you meet the partner, but you can't be a club person, even though people always say the bad guys always meet the good girls, or the bad girls always meet the good girls. Sometimes there are a lot of things that we don't know that exist within this kind of relationship or partnership, but we will not talk about that for now. For those of you who are in there, maybe you will give us instances and share your experiences with us. So because it's very difficult to say, okay, I am a church person, I need a faith-based partner. And then you decide to go to club and then get a partner and ask her to come and follow you to church or follow you to the mosque. It's usually very tricky and very difficult. And most times such kind of relationship does not actually work. So you know where you belong to, look for those places or those spaces to be able to find people within your same interest group. It may be hobbies. If you like to watch soccer, in the office here, we have colleagues who belong to soccer club. I think they have a WhatsApp group and they do all that. You know, they discuss about soccer games. And it's not only men, including women who have interest in that and all that. So you can find that online also. You find people within your interest groups. We've virtually talked about a lot of some of these traits, but there are things we should also look out for as part of the tips. One of it is watch out for red flags. This is something we hear every day. Red flag behaviors also in our partners, whether business partners or romantic partners. And some of these red flags, poor communication. How do you communicate with the person? So effective communication is very, very important in a healthy relationship, be it business relationship or romantic relationship. So the person should be able to observe that my partner can communicate clearly with me, because most times communication is very key. If you're communicating and it's not very clear, the person misunderstands you. And I've been through relationship in terms of romantic relationship, and we see how sometimes, oh, you're texting, sorry, I'm not coming. And then the other person misinterprets it. Oh, he's even screaming, he's not coming. It's like he's telling me, get away, I'm so tired of you, you know. You put a lot of meanings into some of this thing, but maybe the person was in a hurry and just said, I will not be able to come. So the way you communicate also matters a lot. So poor communication can actually be a red flag. So once you're choosing a partner, make sure you look at effective communication and be very open, be very honest, be very clear in your communication. And we also have to be very careful. Once somebody is communicating and you don't understand, you ask questions. In Hausa, They say matambai baya matawa. So when you ask a lot of questions, you don't get lost in whatever you're doing. So ask a lot of questions, ask for clarification also, so you don't misinterpret what anyone is saying, because sometimes communication can be very aggressive, inability to compromise also. Sometimes those are the kind of red flags you should watch when choosing a partner. And then some people don't show empathy. When you have a partner and you have a problem, the person should be able to empathize with you. Oh, I'm sorry, I heard this thing happen to you. How do we solve it? If you have a business partner and sometimes you lose in business and it happens, how do you communicate with each other? Do you start throwing fault, insult at each other and say, I knew that you are not a good partner, I shouldn't have gone into this partnership with you? So all those things are very important. Watch out for those red flags in terms of communication and other physical abuse as well. You want to look out for a partner that may be difficult, in terms of seeking help. Some partners physically abuse each other, even as friends. I'm not talking about even romantic relationships. So let's avoid abuse. Sometimes it could be emotional abuse, physical abuse also. You have to watch out for that in choosing the right partner. I have quite a lot. Unfortunately, we don't have my slide, but I will just leave it at that. When we ask questions, then I can talk about more. So these are some of the areas that I wanted to actually explore, and then we can take a lot of questions in terms of healthy connections, both for professional and personal growth. We should be able to apply some of these tips that we have actually talked about, how to nurture some of our personal relationships or our business relationships with each other. We should first discover ourselves and then know the kind of partners that we also want to build and work with. That's very, very important. And like I keep saying, it's very challenging to find the right partner. But if we look closely, it shouldn't be a problem for us to be able to get the right partner for us. So I think I will just stop here on this note, and then I can take a lot of questions and maybe expand the discussion as well. Like I said, I really like you to share some of your experiences with us, and we can expand the discussion in that vein. But in terms of choosing the right partner, we should look at some of the basic things I've mentioned, and I'm going to mention others also as I round up the discussion, or as we get into the discussion as well. So thank you very much.
A round of applause to Grace. Thank you very much. Because of the things that Grace spoke about, I would like us to take questions for our session so that we do not lose track on the things she said. So if you have questions, we just take like 4 questions quickly before our second speaker comes up. Just raise your virtual hand or you can type in the chat box. Please don't greet us. Just go straight to the question. Uyo, please unmute and ask your question.
Considering the red flags that she just mentioned, we are not perfect. At times, some of these cases of our part. Then, for how long do we keep observing these traits?
I can't hear you.
Okay, can you sit down? Maybe you should sit down. Maybe the mic will be able to pick your voice.
Okay, considering the red flags, you mentioned some traits that we should look in our partners, such as poor communication, dishonesty, and not being open. And we are not perfect as human beings. Then, for how long should we be looking at these traits or observing it in our partners so that we can now say that yes, these are red flags, because this thing keeps showing up sometimes. It's not something that likely happening.
All right, another question now.
Okay. You got the question, Grace.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's go to Bauchi. Hold on. Uyo, hold on. Bauchi,
Okay.
unmute and don't stand up. Sit down and ask your question. Bauchi.
Yes, my question is about the class we talk about. What about in a situation whereby the lady herself, like you as the poor person, because we have these two classes, and then to her, she choose you to be the one she like, and then the parents are against it. How do you deal with that?
Thank you very much. Yola, unmute and ask your question. Don't stand up. Just speak as you are seated.
The situation where a mechanic sponsor his wife to the level she got, she reached, she went to NYC, she graduated and went to NYC. She will do her NYC in Abuja. So the situation, the left, sorry, he was expecting her to return what she wrote a letter to him because his level don't change. Now, so now she's fighting for her divorce. He sponsor everything. But what advice are you going to give him? Because he needs advice. They force him to divorce her now.
Okay, she got you. Grace, you got him.
I'm
Did you
not
get
very.
him?
No, I missed.
He said a mechanic sponsored his wife to go to school. And
Okay.
the lady came to Abuja, and after schooling, she wants to divorce the man. She's no longer interested because our status has changed. Yes. So the man needs advice, and they want you to be the advisor. So hold on. Let me run to Lekki. Lekki,
Maybe I should
greet
take
us.
these three. Maybe I should take these three first.
No, let's take Lekki, then you take the 4. Then please, the other people that are raising their hands, you can note your question. So we see if we can take it, because I want the second session to start by 2:30, so that we can have enough time to soak in what he has for us. So Lekki, don't greet us. Go straight to your question.
Okay, my question goes thus. Madam Grace said on the part of how communication is very key in relationship. I want to take myself as a case study in this scenario. I happen to be a victim of not having a good communication in relationship. I hate calls. I can text from now till next day, but I don't like calling. But then, these are the recommendations I've been getting from my exes, from my previous relationship. But then I have to work on myself to perfect my subsequent relationship. And I met this young, beautiful, charming lady, and I try and put everything that I've been taught in practice. Like, okay, you don't use to call him. I started calling. And this person I'm talking about, she hates calls. So what should I do in this case? Should I go back to my daily routine that I'm not used to calling, or I should manage her like that? Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. So Grace, you can go ahead and answer the questions.
Okay. Please don't tag me as a love doctor today. I'm not a love doctor, but I'll try as much as I can to respond to some of these questions. I'm going to start with the last question. Again, you need to know how to balance a lot of things. Like I said you need to discover yourself. And then when you discover yourself, it will help you. Those your exes. It's very important that the moment you meet somebody you want to have a romantic relationship with, let the person know that this is me. Will you be able to tolerate that? I don't make calls, I only text. Will you be able to tolerate that? So these are some of the things that you need to find a way to balance. And then let the person understand from the word go. I talked about open communication. Be very honest, be very open. You know, this is what I can do. What can you do? Let's bring it to the table and find a way around it. It's not a perfect relationship in most cases, but you can balance it. If you like to text, she should be able to take that you always text and let her call. We also have voice note, isn't it? Yeah. Which is in between text and then phone calls. So you can just find a way to balance that. I'm sure that can solve the problem. So, but from the beginning of the relationship, always let them know this is your kind of person and get to know their kind of person too. So that from the beginning, I'm sure anybody will know that, oh yes, he told me from the beginning. Most times you hear, especially they say, but you didn't tell me that, but you didn't tell me that. That's what usually happens. So I hope that this is helpful. So my friend mechanic with the runaway, yes, again, it comes to the issue of class differences. It's very important. If you're a mechanic and you're sending your wife to go and have a degree, there's no how she will come back and tell her friends, oh, I've gone through, and my husband is a mechanic. But even the mechanic, he gets levels, right? There are levels of mechanic. As your wife is upgrading, you also need to upgrade. Are you still by the roadside, the same way that you sent her to school? She's coming back to meet you at the roadside. Nobody will be able to do that. And also, if you had understood the kind of person she is, if she's a high flyer, you should know that this, my wife, is a high flyer. When she returns, there's no how me and her are going to be on the same class level. So you need to talk it out from the very beginning. And then if she upgrades, you also need to upgrade. Don't stay in one place. Everyone needs progress. So I hope that this is helpful. Unfortunately, I don't know if it has happened or this is a real life situation, but I hope that also if you're able to send your wife to school, which means financially you're comfortable, you should also be able to upgrade in terms of being a mechanic. Maybe if you're on the roadside now, you should have a workshop, you have boys working for you, you're the chairman there. You know, she likes to come back and say, oh, this is my husband's company. You know, he has boys working for him and all that. So on another side, is also helpful to you because the status of your wife has made you to improve on what you're also doing. And I think that that's important. Vice versa also, it can be a man and a woman or a woman versus a man. So, and that's why sometimes you see men marry women and then when the woman refuses to upgrade, maybe he has become a politician, he goes to pick another wife, right? Mm-hmm. He says this one is a trophy wife and the other one she's doing tour at home. So it all happens in the same vein as well. So I hope we can learn to balance that. Thank you. Class difference. I think I was very specific and I gave example of Northern Nigeria with that, where you're from a different class, the girl is from a different class. Please go for your levels. You get why. You know, make sure that you are operating within the same level. Don't go and fall in love. You see this love, they say use your head and not your heart in most instances. You know, you have to weigh the differences. You can, once you discover yourself, then you know that you'll be able to weigh the pros and the cons at the end of the day. You know that that girl is not from your class status. Will you be able to tolerate what they do? Recently, I was reading on social media that there was a similar kind of issue and they had two kids. The first kid was her father's, they gave the child her father's name. They gave her to another boy and her family insisted that they should give the child her grandparents' name. The reason was that they're a very popular family in Kano, and therefore the name of the family is going to give the child an added advantage when he grows, and the man became confused. Recall that when he married her, he knew that some of these things will come up because they don't operate within the same class. So there's every probability that one class will oppress the other one. So these are some of the things that you have to weigh and think. But there are some men that don't mind. That's why I said self-discovery first. If you feel, yes, you're meeting Hajia, like they say in Northern Nigeria, you don't mind that, yes, you can take anything your wife family says to you. It's okay. It also happens anywhere across Nigeria that one family dominates the other. There are some men that don't mind. They go with the flow. It's okay because you have discovered yourself and you discover that I'll be able to take that. But there are some men that have Their ego is not from here. They will not be able to take it. If you know you're that kind of person, please don't go for that kind of relationship. I hope I've been able to answer that. Then how long should we observe the red flags before we decide that this one is not? So sometimes people ignore red flags because they feel that the person will change. And most times it happens in marriage. Oh, don't worry, I just like her. If I marry her, she will change. No, please, you should think about yourself and say, if I marry her and she changes, will I be able to change, or I will still remain the person I am? That's why self-discovery is very, very important. If you know that you have observed somebody, there's no specific date to say time they say you observe person, but most times, especially religious leaders will tell you 3 months or 6 months is enough for you to be able to discover who this particular person is. So it depends on you. People are different. Some are very patient. They can tolerate people for up to a year just to watch out what will happen. I'm not saying if you're in love with somebody and you want to marry the person, make it 10 years. No, that's not what I'm saying. The person will run away and leave you. But if you think that 3 months is enough for you to have observed that person, after 3 months, just say, I'm sorry, it doesn't look like we are going to end up together because of these red flags that I have noticed. So it depends on you what you're able to take at a certain point in time. I hope I've been able to answer that also.
Thank you very much, Grace. We are out of time. So what I would suggest we do is those people that still have their hands up, if you can type it in the chat box, put your location. Like Makodi, I can see your hand is up. Just type your question in the chat box and put Makodi window on America. Then do say Mina. And there's Uyo. Uyo, you typed a message. Is that the question you are still raising hand for?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Grace will pick all your questions from the chat box. While the other presenter is on, she will be taking the questions. Then after that session, if when you ask your question for that session, she will come back later to answer all the questions. Thank you very much, Grace.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's put our hands together for Grace. So I'd like to invite our second speaker in the person of Diran Adegoke. Can we put our hands together for him? He'll be talking to us on networking, building networks for professional growth.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a huge privilege for me to be here this afternoon. Thank you to the American Spaces. My name is Diran Adegoke. I am the Youth Engagement Specialist. I'm the Youth Engagement Specialist here at the Embassy in Abuja. My experience spans the field of IT, public administration, and people management. And in the last 18 years, I've had the opportunity to participate in networking events in Nigeria, various parts of Nigeria, also in the US, and around a few countries here in Africa. So that's a little bit about me. Just for your awareness. Now, I'll need a little help. I want to make this a little bit interactive. So I would ask a question, 2 different exercises, and I'll take like 3 responses for the first one and another 3 for the next one before I spill into the tips I want to share this afternoon. The first question is this. We call it the elevator pitch. So imagine you're going in a building. You're in an elevator going from the ground floor to like the 10th floor, which will probably take like 30 seconds or thereabouts. And you run into someone who can change your life. For want of a better example, the most popular name on our lips. Dangote, you run into Dangote. How would you introduce yourself? 30 seconds, you and Dangote in the elevator. So I'll take someone here and then 2 other people online. So any takers? Any takers? Nobody here. Oh my goodness. We have work to do. All right. Okay. Okay, we have a taker. All right, please, just stand up and introduce yourself. Introduce yourself as if you're like introducing yourself to Dangote.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sima Popo. I'm a data analyst. I have 2 years of experience in data analytics, and I'm also good at project management. And I'm a graduate in pure and applied mathematics from the prestigious University of Port Harcourt. And that's just much about me.
All right, thank you. Please, a round of applause for me. Joyce, can you help me? Let's randomly pick from 2 other spaces, 1 person per space, for them to do their introduction, preferably 1 from the north, 1 from the south. No, I'd like to get introductions from online. She's not, okay. Okay, can someone from randomly, let me say, do an introduction? Everybody is running away from doing the introductions. Okay, let's bring it back home. Anybody else willing to be brave? All right, please go ahead.
Okay. This is me meeting Dangote, right?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Uju Veronica. I'm an advisor. And due to the fact that your trucks keep killing people on the road, I would like to advise you. And if you give me the opportunity, here's my contact. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Your trucks keep killing people. That conversation died.
She's bold. You know you're saying nonsense, boldness.
Okay. All right. So
we are ready, sir.
We are ready.
Okay.
From Uyo,
okay, please go ahead.
From Uyo, go.
Okay, so my name is Diran, and I am a 200 level student studying accounts and investment. I am also doing my ICANN program, and I am an interior. It's a very pleasant thing to meet because I learned so much of it. And I would also love to network with you if you would want to.
All right, thank you. Well done. All right.
Brilliant.
So we'll take this a little further. Thank you for your responses. I would not say anybody did well or didn't do well. As we get into the tips, we would learn to refine some of these things. So the second scenario I want to do is, just like you have been invited to the American space, wherever you are, you've been invited to an event. And at that event, you have a lot of VIPs. Notably, you have the US ambassador to Nigeria present there. You have, you have the US ambassador present there. He was accompanied by, the American Spaces Director. You have, once again, the chairman himself, Aliko Dangote. You have the governor of your state in attendance. You have Madam Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala with her PA present. You have Chimamanda Adichie, Don Jazzy, Hilda Baci in attendance. So I want to get another set of 3 people who would tell me who amongst these VIPs they would approach and why. So you walk into an event, I have listed a number of, people who are in attendance. Tell me who is the 1 or 2 people you would approach and why. So again, I would like to start from here because it's just easier to start from here while the people online get ready. Any takers? Apart from, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, sorry. Yes. Yes, I'm going to meet my state government.
Okay, why?
Because one, is my state. I know one or two things that they lack.
Okay.
And I have solution to it. Okay. So that's my great opportunity to present it to him. Because normally, if you present your proposal, normally it will scale through and it will get to him. Okay. But once you approach him, you tell him this, what's lacking in the state. This is the way forward, and this is the result that we're going to get. And if you like the idea, you can share his contact with you. You can book an appointment to come and see.
Okay, thank you very much. Please clap for him. All right. Any takers online? Please, if you're interested, just go ahead and unmute.
Lucky was raising hand.
Okay.
Okay, we'll meet with any of the PA of the PIP, and particularly that of Dangote. Then I will explain myself as an internship student that needs an attachment in one of the company. So by that I can bring a little opportunity to work Dangote.
Okay, so you will go for Dangote's PA. All right. Thank you. Interesting. Any other takers?
Zaria.
Yes. My name is Okay, my name is Umar Ibrahim Nas. In this scenario, I will look for someone among the dignitaries that we share value with, like in the notable person in the. Are you hearing me? I will look for Madam Ngozi Okoje-Oyola because we share some value. I share some value with her. She's a politician, she's a technocrat, and so on. So I would like to go to her and have some discussion with her. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Well done. Okay, let me come back with one more chance. Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Fasasi Sodiq.
Okay.
I will go for Don Jazzy.
Okay. Jazzy.
So the reason why I will go for Don Jazzy, I have a foundation, the youth foundation, and over the years we have always explored the international donor.
Okay.
With the influence of Don Jazzy in the entertainment industry, we can mobilize resources to support some people, most especially amplify the achievement of the goal of the SDG, reaching out to people in the West, the South, and the North, by making sure we democratize education across the northern part and the southern part of the country. So I believe the influence of Don Jazzy will help in penetrating the entertainment industry.
All right, thank you very much. Those have been very great answers and responses. I'm a little hurt nobody wanted to meet our ambassador, but it's okay.
Nobody needs this, Adi.
You know, up until they need it and then they start to disturb Grace.
No, they are contented. Be in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you very much. Fantastic responses. So the goal of the exercise was not to get right or wrong answers. It's just to also get us thinking and, give us an idea or help me get a sense of who we are looking for and why we are looking for them. Now, what's the purpose of network? As the topic says, networking is quite essential for our personal and professional growth. And you've heard Grace talk about the personal growth, so I'll focus a little more on the professional growth. Yeah. Because we can't do it all. We can't do it alone. A popular African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone, or if you want to go far, go with others. So networking is pretty key. Knowing people, building and expanding our network is pretty key to how we grow professionally and also personally. One of the things we need to also remember about networking is that the goal is to be 2 phone calls away from the solution to what we are trying to manage. 2 phone calls away from what we are trying to achieve. So in other words, if you can't call someone who can help you directly, which is the first phone call, then you should be able to call somebody who can call somebody to do the work. And that was one of the reasons why I like the response of the person who says, look, I will go for the PA to this person. Because this person might not have my time, but if I call the person who can get the attention of the person, then I will get a solution to what I want. And that's fantastic. Okay, yeah, we're back. However, networking is not a one-way street. The truth is, the idea about coming to networking events or trying to build network simply because you want to make a request is no longer feasible. The charity model is no longer feasible. Now it's a question of what do you offer as value in return. So when we are preparing for a networking event, the first thing we need to ask ourselves is, what value am I bringing to the table? When you get into an event and you want to approach someone, we need to ask ourselves, what value am I bringing to the table? What value am I bringing in exchange for this relationship that would make this person want to cultivate the relationship? I know what I want from the relationship. That's easy. But a relationship, a professional relationship or relationship of any kind is a two-way street. So my presence in this person's professional circle should offer something. So networking, like I'm saying, is not about asking for favors. It's about building mutual relationship. The charity model is outdated, and we should ask, what value do we offer in return? Now, here are a few tips. There are most times when you get invited for an event, you have a sense of who will be there, especially if it's a professional event. If you are invited for a professional networking event and you don't know who will be there, please reach out to the person who invited you and tell them, please, I'd like to know who's there, so that you can do your research ahead and you know who you are coming to target. Now, all things being equal, if Dangote and my governor, they are both going to be there, then let me know what value I offer to who I want to meet and prepare to meet them. The second thing also is that you need to tailor your introduction, which was why we did the very first exercise. You need to tailor your introduction. And I would throw this in that, please, as much as you can, try and create at least 2 or 3 variants of the introduction for yourself, irrespective of who you will meet. It's easy to tweak it once you know the person. But like we said, because of chance occurrence, if you already have and memorize, for want of a better expression, how 2 or 3 ways in which you introduce yourself, it makes it easy for you on the spot to be able to say, this kind of person, this is how I should introduce myself. So for instance, I was coming here preparing that I was going to speak on networking. And when I was introducing myself, I could have just said, my name is Diran, the Youth Engagement Specialist at the US Embassy. But I thought that, look, what value am I bringing and why should they listen to me? And then I talked about my experience and the fact that I have been privileged to attend networking events within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. That one speaks to value that I bring to this training. Second, it also speaks to tailoring my introduction to suit the occasion. If I was going to another event right now, it will be something else about what I do that I'll talk about. So that's the reason why we need variants of introductions. Second thing is, in our introductions and in our conversation, we need to be authentic. A lot of times, because of what we are hoping to achieve, we try to present a larger than life portfolio of profile. Yes. And then, we start to say a lot of buzzwords we think these people want to hear. Please avoid that. Yes, there's a fine balance between industry speak and just buzzwords, jargons. For instance, if I'm introducing myself as a medical practitioner in a field of medical practitioner, there are certain basic terms I should be able to use in my conversation that lets people know that indeed I am the medical expert I call myself. It is not necessarily to impress them. It is just to authenticate my identity as a medical practitioner. So you go into a house fair and you are wondering, okay, all of a sudden you meet, big people in the industry and you don't understand the terms of, for instance, building and housing. You don't understand what, for instance, a terrace duplex means or a penthouse duplex means. Instantly, they will know you're not one of them. And they might not take that, they might not see value in connecting with you. Now, you say a few things that show you are of this space, and then you say what you are about. It's easier for that conversation to continue. They won't automatically want to lock into you, you understand, but at least it's not a turn-off switch. Because a lot of times, by the time we go the Honorable Obayagon way, people are gone. Be strategic at networking events. Like we mentioned earlier, there is also the misconception that the VIPs are the big guns we should always gun for. They are good, but oftentimes they are too busy. They don't have the bandwidth, the memory, and the time to build new connections. So again, while it is not wrong to meet VIPs, it is important to also know how to meet people within their circle. Because it is those people who can tell you that, okay, this is how to, or bring your matter or present it to Oga. There are certain people that if I want to see, I won't call them directly, it's the driver or call. Alpha Oga Diran. Alpha, where on a day? I feel on jam. That kind of thing. They are the ones who give you the access. So I show up suddenly and what are you doing here? I have spoken to the person that has let me know this is where to show up. So it's important that, yes, even when we have relationships with the VIPs, we learn to, manage relationships and build relationships all across the spectrum of the ladder. Then at events, please avoid overexposure. What do I mean by overexposure? Overexposure is, I listed about 10 VIPs and you want to talk to all the 10 VIPs and collect their card. It doesn't look good. People notice. People notice. And it doesn't look good. And the truth is, you can't pursue all 10 at the same time. The other mistake we shouldn't make is to pick one person and then try and block out the attention of people from assessing that person. You are the only one who wants to engage and be asking questions and be talking to the person. And the person is trying to go and you say, please, let's take a selfie. Let's do. We need to calm down. We won't become BFFs at that event. I have the privilege, a lot of me and my colleagues have that privilege of organizing high-level events. And sometimes part of the things we have to manage is to ensure that everybody has access to the VIPs that are present, so that one person doesn't hog the attention and then prevent. Because look, the person you are talking to too get fed up. They're only being polite and nice by not showing you off. So please, let's try and avoid some of those overexposures. Now, in the process of, yes, we are in the same space, we are having a conversation. It is important to ask insightful questions. Questions that get them to think and to share. One of the ways in which we can ask insightful questions is by already doing our research. So using, again, one of the most popular examples, if you meet someone like Dangote, one of the things you probably want to ask him is not necessarily about, how were you able to build your business from this and that. Ask him something current about, he recently pledged that he was going to build a factory, a business, cement factory or something in Ogun State. Start from there. Sir, you seem to be doing and diversifying a lot of your business interests in the Southwest. What is the strategic point of trying to, what strategic move are you trying to make around the market in the Southwest vis-a-vis the national market of Nigeria? And then you get him to talk, something around that level to say, oh, part of the reasons is that, okay, maybe Lagos is close to the waters, which makes it easy for import and export. Ogun is the next best close thing for export of cement and things like that. And then from his response, it gives you an opportunity to ask further questions. And he feels interested and enjoys the conversation. He's not just sitting there with his drink in hand, hearing you talk about what you do and how you would like him to help you and this, that. If only you have 1 million that you're not using, like we like to say on social media, if you have 1 million that you're not using, please. Be curious, don't be opportunistic. The meaning of that is, don't make a request at your first meeting. Please, as much as possible, don't make a request at your first meeting. Make an offer. If you must make anything, make an offer. An offer that you would like to help with this. You would like to volunteer your service. You would like to volunteer your skill, your network, rather than make a request. Oftentimes it's sweet when they ask you to make a request. It's sweeter that way, but again, make sure that there is an ongoing relationship before you now get into the sphere of making requests. Oh, sorry. Now, following up on the events, sorry. It is important that after you have attended an event and made a connection, they're giving you a business card, email, whatsoever, please send that email, send a thoughtful message that expresses, what you got out of that encounter and what you are looking to build. Now, oftentimes, depending on the level and the kind of VIP you are meeting, you might not get a response immediately. You might not get a response in weeks. Please, don't stop. Now, when I say don't stop, doesn't mean bombard them and pester them with messages. No. It is that do not let the fact that you didn't get a response deter you. Whenever you think you have an urgent update or you learn something you are curious about them in the media space, in the public domain, you can come back to ask that question. You now have access that nobody else has. And even if they don't answer that question, trust me, one day they will come back and listen and say that this person constantly reaches out, this person is genuinely interested, and they might be moved to respond someday. Another thing that is important in nurturing that relationship, maintaining the conversation, whether or not they respond to you, is to share your own life milestones, your professional milestones. If it's a professional contact, if they've gotten to the level of being a personal contact, then you can share personal life milestones with them. But let them know that you are progressing. You're not the person, you're not at the level they met you at that event. Things are moving forward. And that creates further interest in wanting to build a relationship and a partnership with you. Staying further connected. Social media is very important. Social media is one of those things that also gives access. We tend to see and hear a lot about people out there on their social media, especially the VIPs. It's important that we curate our own social media feeds too. Now, I'm going to say a few things here. LinkedIn still remains the corner piece of professional networking in the world. Yes, Twitter, Instagram, and co gives certain kind of access. But you see, your LinkedIn needs to be up to date. And again, in updating your LinkedIn, because people have created markets around polishing, packaging people. Please let your package be refined, be polished, but authentic. It is easy to tell. Someone once reported that they don't like LinkedIn because everybody is always succeeding on LinkedIn. Nobody is failing. Because we've created an industry around LinkedIn where everybody is coming to say, this is how I'm shining. And that is nice. That is nice. But let us keep it authentic because, again, we can smell it. If you can tell, then expect that everybody else can tell that this is not authentic. That this is you over polishing and over laundering your image. Second thing I would say is you have freedom of expression on all your social media platforms. However, never lose sight of the fact that also when people want to really get involved with you, especially on the professional scene, in the world we live in today, they would research you on social media. And if you are someone who is a lightning rod for the wrong kind of things they do not want to be associated with, it will be a stumbling block in building that connection. You see, we live in a generation where it is very, very interesting and trendy to be savage. You might be savage on a popular issue. You might even trend and get some trending reimbursements from X and Instagram and the likes. But that might be all the reward you will get. And that might be trading, the pennies for the pound. So please be deliberate. As much as you want to express yourself freely, you also want to ensure that your public presentation online is also matching the professional aspirations you have for yourself. Because remember, the internet never forgets. Also important is that we stay connected, not just to the people we meet at alumni network, at networking events, but we stay connected to our alumni networks, It's called tapping into your tribe. So we all have old secondary school alumni association, university alumni association, training alumni association, different kinds of alumni association. And truth be told, you can't be everywhere. You can't be everywhere at the same time. But sample all of them. Know the one that is most relevant to you and stay connected. Because the people you have a history with, find it easier to recommend you to the people within their network. So amongst probably people you went to secondary school with today, some of them are probably, working with the governor, or in fact, some of them, you didn't meet them in school. They left school long before you enrolled. But because all of you are now in alumni association, I had the privilege of meeting the head of the Standards Organization of Nigeria once when I attended the alumni association of my alma mater, Obafemi Awolowo University. He gave a speech and everything. At that meeting were, senators, heads of agencies, and things like that. Simply because I attended OAU. They finished probably long before I was born. We are all in Abuja. They called me, they showed up, I showed up. Free access. There was no PA telling me, did you keep an appointment? One thing. All the issues I would have had to go through if I went to their office evaporated at that meeting. That's the value of tapping into the tribe. Of course, keep the network alive, keep active. Don't just be the one who comes to these meetings to take. Let people see you volunteering, let people see you participating. It's pretty important. Final thoughts on the tips, just to summarize all that we've talked about in the last 30 minutes, is that networking is a long-term investment. You are playing the long game. You are not in for the short run and the short wins. And that's why you shouldn't come first with a request. Come with an offer, come with an intention to cultivate a relationship. Keep it real, keep it authentic. Always be prepared. Someone once defined luck as opportunity meeting preparation. If you already have in your fingertips how to introduce yourself at certain stages, then it makes it easy to snap out of, our starstruck freeze when we meet. For real? Is this person? It makes it easy for us to snap, because if it is then you want to now start saying, how do I introduce myself? You start to do the the nervousness is written all over you. And sometimes we just throw in the towel and give up. Relationships grow through value exchange. Like I mentioned earlier, you need to bring something to the table. Trust me, as rich and as powerful as people like Dangote are, they need something. And they need something from the little guy. Just ensure that you are the little guy that they need and project that to them, and you build something from there. Keep showing up, keep showing value, and that would be all for today.
Josephine, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Diran.
Thank you very much.
So I would like to take questions. Grace, you have plenty questions, oh. It's like this. This is your relationship advice, eh? Don't worry. So please, if you have question for our second speaker, please, you can raise your virtual hand quickly, because we have about 20 minutes to go. Please don't introduce yourself and don't greet us. Just go directly to the question. We want to take as many questions as possible. Networking. Any question? Abuja, we can start from you while we are waiting for people to raise their hands. Okay, I have two hands. Just on networking, please unmute and ask your question as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
You earlier
Ask your
made
question.
okay. You earlier made mention that we should not overexpose ourselves. So how do you expose yourself just enough when you're trying to network?
Okay.
So Uyo, unmute and ask.
Speak up. All right. You made mention of giving value. So I want to ask, does value have an hierarchy? Like, does it have a side? Kind of like, that's my question. Like, does value has an hierarchy?
Okay.
Diran, did you get the question?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Uyo. American Corner Ibadan. Go ahead. Ibadan. Unmute and ask your question. Oh. Okay. No question. All right.
Ask Ibadan,
So, Diran,
it's muted.
Ibadan, you're muted.
Uyo, do you still have any question? I see your hand is still up.
Yes, we do.
Please go ahead.
All right. Come this way. This is the part. All right, speak up.
Okay, I would like to ask, as an history student, how do you think you can introduce yourself? What do you think are the basic necessities to meet like art when you meet? That's
My question is, at this point in my life, where I think I don't have the level of value that a person like Dangote might need, is there anything I can do to probably connect with him and retain him till something valuable from me that might interest him comes up? I don't want to be like I've missed
Diran, do you want to go for those 4 questions?
Yes, let
All
me
right.
go.
Please
Okay.
go ahead. Yeah.
So I'll take the value questions first. So starting with the last question on how can I retain someone until I have value to offer. The truth is, I will not recommend you try that because, again, and that's for a VIP level. For a level not so high, that might be possible because, again, they have more time, more bandwidth, more patience. But for people who are at certain level, whose time is heavily pressured, that's gonna be almost impossible. And there's nothing wrong in that. The truth is, not every opportunity is your opportunity. So if you don't have value to offer this person yet, then move on. It was nice to be at this event. If you get the opportunity to take the selfie, take the selfie. Post the selfie. I have met Dangote in my life, that kind of thing. All well and good. And move on. When you have value to offer, somehow you would meet the people again. It might not be Dangote as Dangote. It might be somebody else either at that level or a similar cadre that you would meet that you would be able to offer value to. The point is knowing where to meet them. Having access to the places that open the door for you to meet them. That's what you need to focus on at that level. Now, somebody asked about the hierarchy of values. The way I would answer that question would be the way she answered. You see, when she got into the elevator with Dangote, she was like, here's the problem of your company, and I have the solution. It might not be the way I would recommend that it's presented, but that is value, because value is not what you think is valuable. It is what the other party considers valuable. We all have a value, but our value offering is not what's it called? Valuable to everybody. So that's what you need to consider. Forget hierarchy of value. The question is, again, which goes back to doing the research. What do I have to offer? Who amongst these people does my offering tie into their space? And then you tailor your value presentation to match that person. Forget the hierarchy. And again, there might be other people who are already presenting that value. It is good to have options, because the day those people may unfortunately disappoint, then they remember, I met someone who said, and then they come calling and say, can you deliver as an emergency? And that's your lucky day. So again, understand value from the perspective of how does what I have to offer matter to this person? Then as a student, how do you introduce yourself? Now that's in some balances, they'll say that's something you should pay consultations for. Sometimes you introduce yourself as who you are, if you don't have too much, which is also why it's important that you attend, trainings like this. You also volunteer your time in small places, even starting from churches, your neighborhood community, and things like that, because those things give you opportunity for you to start building experience and profile. So while you might say that, yes, I am a student of philosophy at OAU, however, I do a lot of writing. I am the editor-in-chief of my department's editorial newsletter. You can see that while you are not yet the expert pro, you have talked about something else that you are doing that is important. So those kind of things, beyond just your academics, beyond just what you, for want of a better word, professionally are studying, what are the other things you are doing that also lets the person you are meeting know that, okay, this person is well-rounded and vast in exposure. That is what I would say you should put into your introduction when you are introducing yourself. Yes, acknowledge I'm a student, but I'm also into A, B, C, D. Now, on the question of overexposure, the right kind of exposure relates to time, relates to information you are providing, relates to the opportunity you are giving to the person you are conversing to speak. I mentioned earlier that, one, don't make it a monologue. You introduce yourself, you talk about what you do relative and relevant to the person you are speaking to. You throw in a thoughtful question that gets them to respond. Or say something unique about what you do that gets them curious. They ask a question, you respond. You give them an opportunity to also speak. And then emotional intelligence, sometimes called reading the room. Understand when the conversation is beginning to expire and know how to exit. That's where you are avoiding, those are the ways you are avoiding overexposure. Because if you are trying to keep winding the conversation, then it becomes laborers. I hope that helps. Thanks.
The last question.
The last question. In what small, manageable way can I integrate networking into my weekly routine without feeling overwhelmed? I wouldn't recommend you make it a weekly routine. I would say, number one, you need to look at and be honest about your routine and know what it can accommodate. For some people, what might be reasonable might be monthly. For some people, what might be reasonable might be bi-monthly or quarterly. It's good that you are thinking that, look, depending on where you are, you need to meet more people. That's a good thought. You also need to know who are the kinds of people you want to meet, and where are they? How often do you need to show up with them? You also don't want to be the guy who is overcommon. Nobody wants a common commodity. You understand? So you don't want to be the guy that, for instance, if it is at the monthly meetings, they see you there. If you don't have a regular function you perform at the monthly meeting, miss some of the meetings deliberately. Let them look for you and say, we didn't see this guy. Hope all is well. Then that gives you a check on the kind of value you bring to the table. But yes, it's good. Just ensure that it fits in well into your personal schedule. You are not overwhelmed, and you also don't commonize yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. So Ibadan, are you ready to ask your question now? Just, I can see your question in the chat box. Is it the same you are raising hands for? Okay. All right then.
Talk about
So don't worry. Don't worry. We will take the one. It will take the one on the chat box. Diran, please, can you take the question on the chat box from Joss?
From Joss.
Who should?
Yes.
Okay. Who should the advocates be? Should the VIPs be in relation to the niches, or can we network with the VIPs? I'm a little confused with the lower part, but I will try and answer.
Maybe it's talking about those PA that follows.
Yes, yeah. So when I mentioned advocates earlier, again, there is a street smartness to networking that is required. It's good to have face time with the VIP, but when you meet the VIP, look at the people around them. Are they just coming alone with other VIPs, or did they come with a PA, an EA, or something else? Those are the kind of things, and that's why you have the whole event to study, so that you know when to corner that other person who can be an advocate, and just try and, hi, how are you? I see you are talking to, do you work for him? That kind of thing. Oh, my name is, and then you're trying to size that person and know who they are in relation to the VIP you saw them talking to earlier on. Or you just simply hang around with the drink and try and eavesdrop on their conversations generally, not being a busybody, but also being intelligent enough to know when this kind of interaction is somebody like me trying to meet the VIP or somebody already within the VIP set. Those are the people called the advocates. It's important to know and meet those people and also build rapport with them because they provide easier access. How do we expose ourselves just enough? I think that has been answered.
And let's take Ibadan. Ibadan is on the chat. On the chat, there's a question from Ibadan on the chat.
Okay, that's the last one. Yeah.
Okay, the question from Ibadan is in the chat. The question is,
yes,
complementary card and networking. Is it not necessary? It is necessary. You need to have a complementary card. Now, again, your complementary card, like your social media feed, especially your LinkedIn network, should be classy and simple enough. It should not be an event poster that contains too much information. It should also not look too expensive that makes people wonder, does this person need me? It should be, yes, we try to over impress and then we put sprinkles and lamination and so much colors on the business card. Please, let's keep it simple. Simple is class.
Absolutely.
What's most important about your business card is your contact information and a snapshot of what you do. A snapshot of what you do, not more than 2 lines. And as much as possible, also learn to, both for your introduction and for your card, tell a consistent story. So when you say on your card, MC, motivational speaker, on-air personality, you are saying you are someone who does a lot of speaking. That's a consistent message. But when you say sports enthusiast, MC, and relationship coach, they are like, this person is doing jack of all trades. You understand? So learn to tell a consistent story on your complimentary cards and don't try to over-impress. One last question. Someone asked, okay, we'll come to the room here. When talking about achievements, how do we know when pride comes in and how do we guide ourselves against low esteem? So typically, if it's a face-to-face meeting, what low self-esteem would do is try and limit what you would say. You would try not to talk too much. You'll be thinking, what can I say that would impress this person? No. However, pride and trying to over-embellish your profile would be you wanting to go on and on into details about what you do and then linking it into another project you did. No. Again, you know what aspect, for want of a better example, like a Dangote again, he's into sugar, cement, oil, salt, everything. You cannot diversify more than him. But you also don't want to tell him that you are his rival, that you are playing in all that space. So you are speaking to one of the spaces. For instance, trucking and his use of CNG. It is reported that all Dangote trucks run on CNG and not on oil. Fantastic. If you are playing in that space, narrow your conversation towards that angle. I am impressed with what you have done, what I heard your company has done in the space of CNG, even before it became a popular thing in Nigeria. Matter of fact, I also run a small outfit that helps people outfit their cars from gasoline into CNG. I am curious. Who are the people who do your outfitting for your own company? Do you import them that way from China? Do you have an idea of the technology in play? How do you maintain? Who does your maintenance? That kind of thing. You are speaking specific to a limited space and you have spoken about your competence. No need to over-impress. Or to say, start going into details of, I've done over 10,000 cars in Abuja alone. We are looking to open a factory here and there. Depending on, I wouldn't say, what I would recommend is don't present that up front if they don't ask questions that lead that way. I hope that helps capture it. Yes, ma'am. And then Grace will take over.
Thank you very much for this insightful for us. Oh, my question goes to sir. Please with specific instances. At what point does the conversation becomes insignificant when engaging a VIP?
First, you read body language. When someone is interested in the conversation, they make a lot of eye contact with you. Second is they ask questions based on what you say. If the answer and the response is a lot of, Okay. Then you're already getting the cues. If they are constantly looking elsewhere, you're already getting the cues that this person is not interested in this conversation. You understand? But if it's a conversation that, really? Okay, so how do you do that? Where is your space? What did you call the name of your company again? What technology do you use? Or what approach? You understand? They're asking, even if it is simple questions to know more. And then they are sharing their own experience. Oh, I once met somebody who used to do this thing, that. And that person is interested. But once everything is a one-word response, a sound effect response, then you kind of get the idea that this is not really working, and perhaps I should go and come back, or I should go and not come back.
Can I ask a final one?
Okay.
Thank you. So from your last thoughts, your final thought, you said keep showing up, keep showing value.
Yeah.
As a woman who has taken a break from work,
okay,
or has never worked before,
okay,
how does she show up? How does she add value? How does she present herself in the first place, or introduce herself?
So the first thing I would ask, typically, if this was to be a one-on-one, would be, what have you been doing if you've not been working? And then it makes it easy for us to have a conversation and represent what you have been doing in professional language that shows value. That's one. Two, if it's a case where you were working before, you took a break, and you are coming back, it's simple. We start the conversation from your competence and your achievements while you were working. And then you give a reason, the reason why you took a break. And it is not unusual. There are people who do that a lot.
So how would one have introduced herself in the first instance?
So for someone who already has some professional experience, you introduce yourself based on your experience. Your experience is your track record, is your profession, it's your expertise. You experience that and you put that little caveat. I've been out of the game for a bit, depending on how that conversation is going, but I've been out of the game for a bit, for instance, to have kids or things like that, because that's usually the reason why women take a break. My kids are grown reasonably enough now, and I'm back in the space, and I have started ABC, because oftentimes the way to make a comeback again is to volunteer your service. Once you have volunteered your service here and there, it makes it easy for people to know that you are back in the game and you are up for the game. If it's someone who has never worked, then we will need to look into their core competencies outside of what is considered the traditional workspace, to say, okay, what are the vocations you have been doing? So, for instance, if it's that she's been good at organizing events while she was out, she was out of work or something like that, then we try and play your event management acumen up as a professional skill. Even for people who are in religious ministry, we play that up into people management and your ability to manage people, coordinate and deliver projects in timelines. Perhaps that also involves the fact that you have to raise money. Then we play that up as ability to raise funds. You understand? So that would require a little bit of one-on-one conversation, but yes, there is a way around it. You just need to speak with the right person. Grace, how many minutes do we have more in total so that I can?
We've totally run out of time. The program was supposed to end by 3:30. But for our Facebook audience, Diran, I have one question from Facebook. So the question is, how can I meet with VIP and make them my friends with so many protocols attached?
Join the nearest American space. I can assure you, you will be invited for some VIP events before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's the first break you need. Once you join an American space, you will be able in your location, and as much as possible, we are trying to open one in every state, trying to, fingers crossed. So if there's one already in your state, please sign up, join, attend programs like this in person. You will be invited when we are showing up in your state, which we will try to do also, possibly with some of our VIPs. You will be invited. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Diran, for your time. We really appreciate you. Please, can we put our hands together for Diran? Thank you. We've learned so much this afternoon. Grace, can we manage to take like four of the questions because of the time?
I have 7 here.
Okay. Maybe we'll do a minute each.
Yes, I'll try to do very quickly. Someone said, how do you grow from unsecured to secure attachment? So in my presentation, I did mention that there are actually 4 types of attachment, but I just talked about 2. The others are in the middle. You find a little of this, little of that. For those of you who have read about temperament, if you haven't, you can look at Tim LaHaye's book on temperament. You will see how we're just like that. We're built in like that. It's not something that you can transition from. We're all a product of our environment. A lot of things have helped to shape the way we have grown up. So most times you fall in between. You can't transition from one completely to the other. So you have to learn how to balance that. I hope I've answered that question. So someone said, in choosing a romantic partner, what if the people you choose don't meet your standard and age is not on your side? I tell you, relationship is a very challenging aspect. You will always find somebody that meets your standard if you look very well. And that's why I talked about looking at places where you meet possible partners. You have to be within your cycle. If your interest is in soccer, you have to be within people who love soccer. You'll be able to find one there. Online spaces also, Diran talked about alumni groups and a lot of other places you can visit. And that's why we need, as young people, we need to learn how to interact with people from different places. Not just sit at home every day and watching Netflix, watching movies. You need to go out, you meet people. And it is among those people that you meet, you'll be able to choose a life partner. There's nothing like time is running out on you. Even if you're 70 as a woman, you can find a life partner. And that's sometimes some of the mistakes that we make because we think time is, we don't have time on our side and we just go with anything that we feel we like. I know that our parents also are not being helpful, but I guess these days parents are beginning to learn to let the young people be. So please remove that aspect that age is not on your side. I've seen people in their 90s get married, in their 80s get married. Partnership is very important. Take your time. But I'm not just saying when you have an opportunity, like someone talked about his exes, right? I'm not talking about that. Please take out your time to learn about specific people. Don't say, oh, today this one is not good enough, tomorrow this one is not good enough, next one. They are jumping from one place to the other. Let's be very strategic in looking out for what we want in a life partner. I'm sure a year or less than a year is enough, especially for those in northern Nigeria. Even in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you can find a life partner. So, but please make sure you build the relationship, get to know the person better. That's why we talked about communication. Open communication is very important. You open up, you talk more. It's not every evening you come and stay in front of her house. She never opens her mouth to say hello. It is when you now end up together that you discover maybe she doesn't know how to speak English, but it's late at that time. So open up, communicate properly, and get to know one another. That's important. The next question says, I trusted somebody with funds in a business and it didn't turn out well. Do I trust another one? Yes. And that's why we talked about strategies before. You know what you want in a partner. It may be you that is the problem. Self-discover yourself, self-discover your partner. What are those traits that actually bring you together? I think that's very important for you so that you don't make that mistake. Choose people who uplift you, surround yourself with individuals who support your growth, challenge you in positive ways, and encourage your dreams. So you need to look for somebody that you share like minds with, not just anybody tells you, bring money, let's do business. You have no background about the person. Do your homework, do your research about the person before you go into anything or before you commit your resources to doing business with anybody. So that's very important. I'm sorry that that happened to you. Please feel free to trust another person. We learn by mistakes, right? So it's very important that you give it another try, but this time around, be much more careful. The next says, after self-discovery, can one learn to adapt to other partner, or he or she should upgrade the other partner to his or her personality? We talked about that already, right? We gave an example of the mechanic. If you have a partner who has upgraded, you need to also upgrade. If not, the person will leave you behind. Nobody wants to remain where the person is. Growth is very, very important in a relationship. It talks about mutual growth. Choose relationships where both people contribute to each other's personal growth and well-being and work together to improve. That is very, very important. So yes, you can upgrade along with your partner. I know some people say, no, I want to remain in my old school. It doesn't work that way. Most times you have conflicts, so you're not able to manage that relationship, be it business, be it romantic relationship. It's very important for mutual growth. Then the next question is, I have chosen a partner to be married in 2 weeks. Woo, we have a wedding in 2 weeks. It says, but still see my partner with her former boyfriend. What do I do? That's a very serious issue. If I tell you abandon now, you know, it's a very dicey relationship. If I say, no, don't marry the person. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I hope that what we've learned from today will help you make a decision. Your partner needs to know what he or she wants. I don't know if this is a lady or a guy, but it's very important that your partner knows what she or he wants and to be able to support the relationship. Understand your own needs, desires, and boundaries before seeking any relationship. Cultivate a healthy sense of self-worth. Why is the person going to marry you in 2 weeks and then having other partner and you're seeing her with the boyfriend? We'll pray for you, we'll pray for you. But matter of fact, please sit down together, talk to the person, be very open. Maybe there's something about you that that person sees in another person. Let the person be very open to say, no, I don't want to marry. Let it not be a forced kind of relationship. I've talked about that. We say sometimes our parents push us that, no, we must marry this, we must marry that. But I think we've passed grown that generation now. It's very important to sit down together as partners and talk about what both of you want. Even though it's the next day, if it will not work, it shouldn't work. So you don't get into something that at the end of the day, you regret it. So please, we wish you all well. We'll pray for you, right? We'll all pray for you and we hope that it turns out well. And hopefully you will come back and let us know what the situation is after 2 weeks. Then the next one, how do we deal with people who seem not to understand us? Please understand yourself. Don't worry about people understanding you. Let them think about that. Just know who you are, know yourself, and present yourself the best way you can and all that. So I think this is one of the attachment we talk about. People who are bothered, what do they think about me? That's the unsecure attachment that we talked about. So let it be, you know who you are, present yourself the way you are to anybody. We can't all have it, or we can't all be perfect, but we should cultivate a relationship that works for us. So lastly, speaking of levels, does it mean that low class should not marry high class? No promotion of lower class? Is it forbidden to date someone above your level? Yeah, this one sounds like a very serious protest. So what we did is try to balance the class level just to avoid stories that touch the heart and the head, right? So it's just natural that when you're not operating on the same level, the level of understanding, there's usually a breach. For instance, if I want to marry somebody who, let's say, is from a very wealthy family all his life, maybe he has not eaten tuwo, I like tuwo very well, and me and kuka, and then I marry him, I don't know how to cook fried rice, you know, all those medes, and then he comes to the house and I'm cooking my tuwo and me and kuka. Do you think the person will eat it? And I don't know how to cook the rice. So it becomes very tough for us to be able to really understand each other. That's what we're saying. We're not saying, no, don't marry your class. And even if you're from a very low class, you grow. The important thing is that you understand yourselves, you understand the background. So you're going to push each other to grow together and become rich. At the end of the day, you remember from where you started from. You know, nobody will come and say, do you know who my father is? We were together, we used to drink the gari together, right? And now you're eating the rice together. That's just the difference. So your psyche, your social class, the kind of people you meet, all this matters, because if you have a lot of differences, there's going to be a lot of clash. If you go, maybe you don't know how to present yourself the way the person usually presents within that circle of friends, it becomes a very serious issue. And people have developed mental health issues from those kind of instances because you're not able to blend into the person's friend, the person's family. Sometimes you even see the family insulting you to say, no, you don't belong in this class, go and sit down there. Or sometimes you go to a very classic event and you will just go and hide in one corner because you're feeling intimidated by the class of that particular person. So just to avoid that, we want to make sure that there's a healthy relationship between you, but I'm not saying don't go and marry. There are some people from the high class and they will come down to your level to pull you up as well. So that can also happen, which is okay for you, but whatever works for you. The most important thing is embrace the unique qualities in each other. A fulfilling relationship involves appreciating and learning from differences. A quote says, choose a partner who respects your differences and supports your growth. So celebrate differences. Some people can celebrate their differences without so much hassle, without so much trouble, and everybody is comfortable on that level. If that works for you, good and fine. Remember, I told you at the beginning of this that this is not the one size fits all. Sometimes you find things that work for you, sometimes it doesn't work for you. And the fact that if you make a mistake in choosing the wrong partner, there's always room for improvement, there's always room for change. So all that is very important. And in rounding up, I want to say forgiveness, patience is also very important. You can't get the perfect person, but let people learn from their mistakes and learn to forgive one another's mistake. Again, another thing I didn't mention is physical attraction in any relationship, especially romantic relationship. While not everything physically, chemistry can enhance a romantic connection and all that. Sometimes people say beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? Yeah. So when we talk about beauty, attraction, it doesn't mean that when the person is looking like this, it's not fine. If it's not fine for you, it's fine for me, right? So everybody becomes beautiful. So that also helps in building your relationship in terms of either romantic relationship or even business relationship. So most of these things we've talked about today can actually fit in whichever relationship. But I was emphatical on the romantic relationship because I know you're young people, you like to hear this kind of things. And like a lot of you have shown, you're also interested in choosing life partners that will work for you and all that. So I think we're good on this aspect. And Ms. Josephine, if you allow me, my last words will be, by combining the keys to choosing the right partner with strategies for nurturing, fulfilling relationships, you set a strong, or we all set a strong foundation for meaningful and lasting connections in our life. So as we embark on this journey and using some of these tips that both myself and Diran have talked about today, I want to wish everybody all the very best in life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Grace. One thing that I would like us to do, some of our audience that joined us on Facebook, they asked some questions. So if you can go to that page and try to answer their question, I think they will appreciate it. Then
I
some
will do
of these
that.
answers that you gave too, you can help us to post it there. Anytime they go there, they can read it up.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With this, we have come to the end of this week's session of our youth development series. Next week promises to be another exciting time, and I know you will not want to miss it. Please invite your friends, invite your neighbors, invite your schoolmates, anybody, everybody.
Their partners too.
Yes. Okay. All the partners and the networks you would have made by the reason of what you have learned today, please bring them to the space. Let's learn together and grow together. Tomorrow is our eLibrary USA awareness program. The time is 12:30 p.m. and I know you will not want to miss that session too, especially for you, our young audiences in all our spaces. Please join us tomorrow for that session. Also on the 25th, which is the last Friday of this month, we'll be having conversation with an alum. This month's session promises to be an explosive session. You will be learning about something that can move your career forward, that can also move your life forward. The time is 10 a.m., April 25th, 2025. Don't miss it. As we come together, also on the last Monday, we have employability webinar. You are going to catch some business ideas at that session that will set you on the path of success, that will also align you with VIPs in your generation. So let's come together as we learn. The US government is doing all this to ensure that you become self-sufficient, you grow in your trade, you grow in your career, and I know that we'll be taking advantage of most of these opportunities that are being presented to us by American Spaces Nigeria. Till we meet tomorrow afternoon, I want to wish you a successful career. See you all tomorrow. Thank you so much, Grace and Diran. Such a wonderful session we have. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.